All right, y'all, let's talk about the last couple episodes of season 3 of From. We have two episodes that are building up to something pretty big. So, tap this back, we know that. We know that Dale effed around and found out that you cannot just go through these trees and go where you want to go. And now the town is giving him a proper burial as best they can. And Tabitha is dealing with the guilt of feeling like she didn't do enough to um, to help figure out a way for everybody to leave. The truth of the matter is, let's look at what has led up to her being able to even get out of here in the first place, right? She was summoned by the what we call Ankui children because that's all they ever say, and they wanted her to save them, and so she is assisted by Victor in figuring out a way to get to the lighthouse to help the children because that's what she sees in her vision of these kids. They're building a tower out of stone and then saying to her Ankui, Ankui, Ankui. She don't know what the hell that mean. We don't know what the hell that mean. But Victor says yes, he's familiar with that line of thinking because that's what his mother was summoned here to do. And so he gives her his lunchbox and he says, you can go through this tree right here with the hole in it, the faraway tree, and it'll take you to the lighthouse. It has to be this one with the bottles on it like this, blah, blah, blah. So she goes through the tree with the, I think she had a flashlight and the backpack, the lunchbox, sorry. As she gets to the lighthouse, she gets going up the stairs, she starts to see these little things, like little trinkets, knickknacks, toys, symbols, if you will, that are relevant to different town members and different incidences that have happened. And she's had a dream about the lighthouse in the past. So she knew of it. She gets up to the top of the lighthouse where the actual light is that circles to signal where land is. And once she gets up there, she's able to see the entirety of Fromville. And then the boy in white shows up and he says, I'm sorry, this is the only way. And then he shoves her out the window. She goes crashing out of the window and wakes up in the hospital. So that happened, and that's how she ended up escaping into the real world. And not just any old where. She ends up in Camden, Maine, where Victor is from. So this was on purpose. She is supposed to go here because the boy in white sent her here. It's not that the lighthouse gets you out of here. I don't think that's actually what's happening. And I think a lot of people are missing that she didn't escape because she voluntarily jumped out of the lighthouse. She escaped because the boy in white pushed her ass into Camden, Maine. That's really what happened. And so he said, this is the only way. I got to get you to go pick up his daddy and bring him back. That's what that was. She wasn't supposed to go there and do anything else because when she showed up, when she left the hospital, she was walking down the street, she saw the boy in white across the street in the real world. He's leading her somewhere. He walking down the street, she following him. He's leading her in the direction of Victor's house. She's saying, go get Victor's dad. He's saying, I'm sorry, go get Victor's dad. That's really what's going on here. And so when she meets his dad and he sees the lunchbox, recognizes the lunchbox, she tells him what's going on. He don't believe her at first, but then she says something about the tower. And then he's like, oh, snap. That's what my wife was talking about, because we got high on some acid one time. And she was saying after that she had to save these children. She was painting all these paintings. Come down in the basement and see the paintings. Then they get downstairs and go see the paintings. And everything is coming back to Tabitha. She's like, oh my God, all the things. I seen Victor paint these things, blah, blah, blah. So then she's like, I need to figure this out. Because she wants to help her daughter. That's the whole reason that she even did the tower saving the children thing, is because she thought it was going to save her daughter, who was under the spell of the cicadas, along with two other people. And then she gets Victor's dad to believe her, gets Victor's dad to start leading her towards the original bottle tree that his wife made in the park. But then she sees a bracelet that she made for her husband in his glove box. This sends her over the edge because she's like, this is the town messing with me. I'm not even really out here like that. This isn't the real world. If I step out this car, what's going to happen? Am I just going to cycle back to Fromville? You know, what's going to go on? And he's like, you done told me that you found my son after 40 years and you going to try to jump out the car? No, you're not. So they end up in a car accident because he said, we're going to the tree. So they get into a car accident and they both end up in an ambulance that ends up taking them back to Fromville because a tree falls in the middle of the road and they can't get past it. Da, 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 da. We're back. Along with a couple of EMTs and a very bitchy police officer. We don't stand Acosta over here. We don't like her. She's a little goofy. She get on my nerves. But anyway, they don't believe Tabitha, obviously, who believes there's a magical place that you get to once you see a tree in the road, blah, blah. Who's gonna believe you? But anyway, she's trying to tell him, hey, listen, when we get here, there's gonna be people that can help us. Just keep driving till you see a town. Henry got a concussion. They end up seeing a dead body in the road. That dead body ends up laying out the EMTs, and Acosta starts to panic. She's shooting at everybody. Ain't nobody dying. And then she runs and shoots old girl in Colony House because she was trying to shoot one of the monsters. Long story short, Tabitha's bad, right? So she tells the town during the town meeting, you know, as much as she could tell them about how she got out. And they're like, well, why didn't you tell anybody? This town meeting pissed me off, y'all. The way these people were talking about what they would have done and what she should have done and all this other shit pissed me off. You mean to tell me that if you were chosen to get out, was going to go directly to the police and start telling them about this place? And you think they wasn't going to lock your goofy ass up? Yes. You think they wasn't going to lock you up and inject you with something to put you to sleep because you was talking crazy and you sounded like you was schizophrenic? Like, are you kidding? That's what you wanted her to do. Then she would have never came home. Because who was going to come get her? Her family is there. It pissed me off so bad because nobody was going to believe you that you ended up in this magical place that you can never escape and it's full of monsters that come out at night and there's a boy in white that pushed me out of a lighthouse and I ended up like, what are you talking about? Nobody is going to believe you. Henry didn't even believe her at first until, and he is a unique individual because his wife told him about the tower and blah, blah, blah. If that didn't trigger a memory, he would have told her she was out of her mind and let the police take her away that he called in the first place. So anyway, I feel bad that Tabitha feels bad because I would have been like, fuck y'all. Like dead ass. Fuck y'all. Go through the tree if you want to go through the tree. See what happens to you. Because look what happened to Dale. That's all I can tell you. Look what happened to Dale. Dale is now part of your world. Okay? Dale is now literally in the concrete of the pool because he thought that he was going to be the big shot and step through the tree. And all you had to do all this time. He'd been there 2 years.
2 years.
He was there for 2 years and didn't know about a tree to step through. But you thought you was going to step through the tree and save the day. This town don't want you to leave. If it was that easy, y'all wouldn't be here still. Stay tuned for part 2. So now we're at the point where she's feeling really guilty and everyone's crashing out because the psychological turmoil that they are enduring is getting the better of them. She and her man, Jim, get into an argument after she gets home and she has a nightmare, which is kind of a consistent thing for her. She has nightmares often. She has nightmares. She's staring out the window late at night. He is trying to be supportive and encouraging. He's saying, come back to bed. It's not your fault. Don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. And she gets annoyed with him and is like, stop just saying shit just to make me feel better. Like, I just want you to be honest. I don't really want to be pacified, right? And Jim is like, damn, what you want me to do? Beat you down? I'm not really trying to do that. He's trying to keep the peace in their relationship. She is, really things are starting to boil over. They're kind of getting back to the reason they wanted to get divorced. She felt really alone after their child Thomas died. He was like an infant when he died, fell off the changing table. The kids were mourning the loss of him, but Jim was kind of throwing himself into his work and not really around and forcing her to deal with it by herself. And he was like, he was just trying to do the best he could, blah, blah, blah. People deal with grief differently. But as it often happens, the death of a child leads to divorce. Nala. Yeah, go ahead and take that. Thanks. And so they're arguing or whatever. I know the kids hear it because they screaming. Next morning, Jim goes off to gather food for the townspeople at the settlement, and Tabitha is just kind of sitting and sulking at the house. Her daughter notices and kind of brings up the fact that she heard what happened. Later on, her son brings it up as well and is saying, I miss when we were all scared, because then you guys didn't talk like this, and we were more of a family when we were all fearing for our lives. That's kind of heavy. You know what I mean? Like, damn, you would rather exist in abject fear because it means that your family is more of a family than when things are normal. That's something trippy. Meanwhile, Boyd's over here losing his ever-loving mind. Cussed out Acosta when she was trying to help. He just don't like her, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him, but he didn't need to crash out on her like that. It wasn't right. Cussed out his son for being stupid and going against him during the town meeting. He also tries to visit Randall because he does feel guilty for leaving homeboy to the monsters. Now let's talk about that for a second. In the commotion of trying to get Tabitha unhandcuffed because of Acosta and dealing with negotiating the keys from the monsters and making a decision between lives, right? I think people are forgetting that Boyd had to watch someone be ripped apart in front of him. I think people are forgetting that. And I think part of the reason that he didn't save Randall is because, number one, he told your ass to get back in the bus. He told you. So that's number one. Number two, he had to, between saving many people and one person, most people are going to save many people. Most people are going to do that. And then he thought he was already dead. He didn't want to watch Randall get ripped to shreds the way that he had to watch Tien Lu get ripped to shreds. I can't even fathom what that would do to somebody's mind if you watch somebody be tortured to death in front of you. And if you say to me, as the monsters who did that, we get to keep Randall? Okay, bet. Fuck y'all, but bet. Because I'm not staying to watch it. And I don't know if he is going to be able to get a chance to tell Randall any of that. I don't know if he's going to be able to explain himself at all. But I also do not blame Randall if he don't want to hear that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I did what I thought was right. I understand if Randall does never trust me again, is not cool with me, never forgives me. Like, I have to be okay with that. Because as the leader of this messed up place, I have to accept that I am going to burn bridges and that the decisions that I make are not going to be to everyone's benefit. He gave you an out. He told you go back to the bus. He thought that you were good and you weren't. And he would have been good had the cicadas not overtaken him. He would have made it to the bus. Okay? Like, can we just... Anyway. Randall's pissed because his fucking jaw is hanging out. His whole chunk of his face. And he's almost sliced through to his jugular by these monsters. So yeah, he was tortured by these creatures. And then he was dumped off in front of the colony house on top of the damn ambulance. I'd be ready to swing on everybody too. I don't think anybody can argue that Randall is justifiably pissed off and hurt. But I also don't know how much you can argue that Boyd could have done things differently. If he reneged on his negotiation with the monsters and tried to run their asses over, he could have killed Randall, and he could have got everybody else killed. So I don't think that he really had a choice. Tabitha, I'm sorry. Fatima's not pregnant. At least not on the ultrasound. Mama's been eating rotten vegetables and drinking dead Nikki's blood for nothing. Because the town decided, let's mess with old girl. I'm talking. They said, let's mess with this girl's head. That's all it is. That's all it is. Let's mess with her head. She been here a little too long. She a little too comfortable. And she cussed them out. That was the other thing. She cussed the monsters out. One night she just went off on their asses while they were on the other side of the sheriff's door. And I think that's when they said, okay, you think you bad? We gonna get you. So the whole feeling like she's pregnant, getting a false positive on her pregnancy test, and then having horrible morning sickness that made her malnourished, and she started losing teeth. And then the only thing that she can comfortably keep down is rotten food. The only sustenance that she can get from drinking is blood. Ooh wee, baby. That is some crazy ish. And now you got to explain to your fine ass man how you been eating rotten food and drinking. Let me stop. Sorry. Poor Fatima. Honestly, poor woman. Because when she saw that ultrasound and she didn't see nothing in there, I know she lost her mind. Now, you knew you couldn't have children. You knew that. But you also couldn't deny what was happening to your body. Mind fuck. Like, it's just a whole big ass mind fuck. What can you do? But now that she sees that she's not pregnant, and she's gonna eventually, like, she's gonna have to tell them about the cravings and stuff. What now? What the heck is gonna happen now? That's gonna be on episode 7. Now, I do have a couple more things to bring up about the last couple of episodes in regards to Elgin, Julie, and Victor. So I'll be back. So Julie was one of the victims of the cicadas during the end of season 2. It was her, it was Marielle, which is Christy's fiance, and Randall, the town asshole. They were all victims of the cicadas. They swarmed them, they got into their bodies, and they put them in a state of hypnosis in which they were tortured. And so all 3 of them have been dealing with the aftermath of the curse seemingly being broken differently. So for Julie, she's been hearing and feeling constant screaming of people that are being tortured. Randall is still seeing and being swarmed by the cicadas at different, just random instances. And Mariella has not talked about how this is affecting her. We don't know yet how she is being affected in the aftermath of this. But she was actually going through withdrawals from being addicted to morphine and other painkillers at the time. Like at the time that she was cursed. And so, maybe it didn't affect her the same way. But it does seem like it did affect her. Because when she was having a conversation with Randall after she stitched him up and, nursed him back to health, she was being very evasive about the impact that this situation had on her. And Randall was trying to get it out of her. He was talking about, seeing the monsters every night from his bus and how it was like really messing with his head now, especially since he had actual interaction with them. And so Mariella offered to let him stay at the clinic with her and Christy. Now, in that moment, y'all, if anybody watched this show with me, there was a look on Randall's face that very much gave me pause, friends. It really made me feel like he is up to something. That he struck a deal with these monsters. The way that Sarah negotiated with the worms that was in her body, about getting to go home. And I don't know. I just feel like he really shouldn't. I don't think they should let him in the clinic. Not to live. Something about it, man. I'm just feeling like he about to do something. And I think that Christy is going to suffer for it. But anyway, this is just speculation. Maybe it could also just be my bias because I don't like him. I don't like his attitude. I don't think he deserved what happened to him, but I also like his attitude. He's too much of a freaking loose cannon, okay? He's like Dale, but he'll help out sometimes, But anyway, Julie has been suffering in silence, being very, again, evasive of, her family and just trying to be off to herself and sneaking off to get marijuana because it's the only thing that calms the voices in her head or the screaming in her head. She runs into Elgin at the Colony House during the day that they had the town meeting. And he thought that she was the water lady and he was going to knock her ass into next dimension. But he didn't. And they sat down and smoked one up together. And then they went and played in the basement. And they was playing dress up and being teenagers and stuff. It was real cute. It was real fun. But please pay attention, friends, to the way the camera working in the basement. It was giving very much foreshadowing. If you paid attention to the and the little ominous music, and we're looking through the trunks and stuff, I thought for sure they was going to find Jasper. I just knew they was going to pull out Jasper. But they didn't. They pulled out a Polaroid camera. And the taking of the pictures, but not showing Julie's picture, showing Elgin, but not showing Julie. It was just very ominous. It was just giving very much ominous. They do eventually, in the next episode, show the results of Elgin's photos. And in the picture of Fatima, we see the water lady. They call her Kimono Lady. They call her Dead Fatima. People call her all kinds of things. I just call her the water lady because she always wet. And so she, at first, was... she came to Elgin when he was in water. And she came to him during the time in season 2 when the music box was still around. Now that the music box is gone, she's still around. And she's still haunting him. And at first it was while he was sleeping, but now it's while he's awake. It's just getting progressively worse. And then she told him that she needed his help. But in season 7's trailer, she's negotiating with him. The same way the worms negotiated with Sarah. The same way I believe that the monsters are negotiating with Randall. She ain't good. You know what I mean? She's not good. She's talking about she gonna help you get home if you help her. No, she ain't. She gonna make you kill somebody. She gonna make you sabotage mother suckers. Something's gonna happen, okay? She gonna do something. She gonna tell you leave that door open or something. Let the monsters in, kill everybody. Something's gonna happen. I don't know what yet, but she gonna tell him to do something terrible. I just know it. And so that's coming up in the previews. At first she was just saying to him, like, she just kind of ran up on him and whispered in his ear, I'm gonna help you get home, Elgin. You gotta help me, Elgin. The way they had her rush up on him was hilarious. I know her breath is kicking. I know it's kicking because she looks like a corpse. Anyway, So Elgin's about to go over here and go down to the root cellar. Everything happens in the root cellar, friends. Victor hid in the root cellar before the massacre occurred, when his mama told him and his sister to stay in there, but the sister didn't listen, and he listened, and then he was the only one that survived. So that happened in the root cellar. Then Jade, his fine self, he saw, he saw the crushed man under a boulder. He had a vision of that in the root cellar, and then he fell down and he looked up and he saw the symbol that he's been obsessing over this entire show. Julie ended up in the root cellar during the Colony House massacre when Victor and the boy in white helped them escape. Who else is in the root cellar, child? Oh, Boyd saw the ballerina from the music box come out of the root cellar during one of his hallucinations. Like, everything happens in the root cellar. The root cellar is a co-star in the show. Like, so he's about to hit up this root cellar, and I just know something about to pop off in the root cellar. Something always pops off in the root cellar. Let me see. There's so much stuff like that I want to make sure that I bring up. Because the show is coming on again on Saturday. And that's in like 3 days. So we got to have another watch party, you guys. If you haven't been, I had a watch party for episode 6. We're going to have one for 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm probably going to double back and do a watch party with y'all of like the first half of a season on. Just for anybody who hasn't seen the show. So if you are not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, here it is right here. And from there, you can subscribe, and we will be doing, you know, just for season 3, we're going to do each episode at a time type of recaps. And then we're going to turn around and do like half a season at a time, watch parties. Okay. So anyway, we've got another person. And I'm so sorry I'm forgetting her name right now, but she's a plus size girly. She wears a bandana all the time. And in season 2, she had a light bulb bust on her face, and she has like the scars left over from it. But she is always sort of like making a walk-on role, or like a moment where she has a couple lines or something like that. She's a character that we don't really know too much about, but she keeps getting like these little like moments. And I think that's somebody we need to pay attention to, because they wouldn't be giving her that many lines if she wasn't important. I think by season 4, we're going to probably know her whole damn storyline. Pay attention to old girl. She lives in Colony House. Then we've got Donna. Donna has been falling apart, y'all. Poor Donna. She has been dealing with so much. She's been there. Out of all the people who were not Victor, she is the longest standing Fromville citizen, you know, for lack of a better word. And then we got Boyd, who I think is slowly breaking. I don't know what's going to pop off come season finale, but we've got a lot in store. So don't forget to watch season 3, episode 7 with me this weekend, and I will see you later. Bye. Now, I realized I said I was going to talk about Victor in the last video, but I feel like he deserves his own moment. Victor is the longest standing town member, longest surviving town member, and he's been there since he was 8. He, his sister Eloise, and his mother Miranda, they came to this town off of the strength of a vision that Miranda had when she and her husband sparked some acid up, or they took some acid. I don't really know how that go, y'all. But they took some acid, and she started like fully hallucinating, hearing voices, and could not stop obsessing about these Ankui kids, the town itself. Like, she was able to draw things that she never saw, but were coming to her in these visions. She decided one day to take her children and try to find this place, and she did succeed in finding it. I don't know if she went through the tree in the park where she had made the original bottle tree. We don't really know how she actually got to Fromville, but she, Victor, and Eloise ended up in Fromville. And I don't even know how long they were there until this happened, but they had to be there for some length of time, because when Christopher talks about the townspeople that were there when he got there, he talks about them as if he had known them for a long time. He talks about them like they were his neighbors. And so they had to be there for some length of time. It's possible that he could have been there for a year or 2. I'm not really sure. But what I do know is that we are privy to the fact that Victor and his sister were told by their mother to stay in the root cellar during a very sort of anxious and tumultuous time, and it was imperative that they stay here while she went to go do something. And the something, we can safely speculate, was to save the children, the Nkui children. So she runs off into the forest and tries to get to a faraway tree that she had also put bottles on, but she never made it. Now, did she not make it because she was killed by Christopher, the puppeteer, who was one of the townspeople that was obsessed with the same symbol Jade is obsessed with? We don't know. Was she killed by the monsters? He never says. He never lets us know how he found his mother when he found her dead. He just says that she died and that his sister also died. Now, did he also bury his sister? He also doesn't say. Does he say if he actually saw that she was dead or just assumed she was dead? He does not tell us. So we don't know that. But we do know his mama did. We know that she tried to save the children and failed. We know that she's the one who created the bottle trees with the numbers in them. We know that when Victor came out in the morning from the root cellar, he saw that every single town's member was dead. It was a massacre. And the boy in white, who is an apparition, he was the only, him and the German shepherds were the only beings that were still there that helped Victor figure out what to do. He then picks up a important object from each town member, puts it in a suitcase, and buries the suitcase in lieu of burying the townspeople. Because he's an 8-year-old boy, how the hell is he supposed to drag these dead bodies anywhere and bury them? It just doesn't make sense. And so whether or not he ended up eventually doing that, or if he just let the bodies decay in the road and let the animals eat them, I have no idea, child. That is, I don't even want to think about it. And so he says for the next, couple decades, the boy in white is his only friend. Now, do more townspeople come? Of course they do, because the town has a checks and balance. There has to be a certain number of people in the town. Because when somebody dies in the town, somebody shows up in the town. And so, yes, he probably had a bus full of people come through, or a whole bunch of cars at one time come through. Something happened where they replenished the town, and he talks about those people too at different points during the entire series. How, so-and-so was like this, or I got this object from so-and-so. One of them that he talked about in the most recent episode was when his father asked him about it, there was a little race car the size of a small child. Like, it wasn't like a little race car like this. It was like a big wheel kind of thing. And he said that a woman came into town who had bought it for her sick son, but she never got to give it to him because she ended up in the town after she purchased it. And so she let Victor use it. And so she ended up dying in the town, of course. And so she never really got to give it to her son. Really sad story, whatever. And then his dad, feeling the regret of not being able to be with him during this time, and realizing that he was all alone and sort of, traumatized at this point in his life where he has been emotionally stunted. He wants to be with him all the time now. And so Victor is still on this mission to find Jasper. And Jasper is the puppet that Christopher used to use. It was a ventriloquist dummy, and Christopher used to use it to entertain the town. But then the puppet became possessed and started to tell Christopher to do things that he didn't want to do. All we know from Victor's visions, or flashbacks rather, is that he caught Christopher arguing with the puppet, and the puppet was moving and screaming like the monsters. And so he also explains that he doesn't have an object for Christopher. When he buried the objects, he didn't have one for Christopher. So did he not find Christopher's body? Or did he just not find the object that he wanted to bury, which was Jasper the puppet? Again, something we're not really sure of. Victor occasionally remembers repressed memories that with the help of the boy in white, help him to either save himself or save other people. So he is a very key player in figuring out the town and getting out, because he knows more than anyone. But he's trying to remember right now because he realizes that things are changing and things are becoming more dangerous. So he's trying to figure out, what can I do to help people? So his father decides to go with him to the caves where the monsters sleep during the day so that he can get Jasper. And the last time he went, he saw Jasper, but he wasn't looking for Jasper, so he left him there. And this time, he goes with his father, even though he was supposed to go with Sarah. He goes with his father, and they have to end up going much, much deeper into the caves to find Jasper. And Jasper is posted up in this whole like tea party setup with all this furniture around him that they have, the monsters, I guess, have gathered from some of the homes that are abandoned or that they use in the town, the homes that they use. And so this furniture could have come from the massacre, or it could come from each time they kill somebody in the houses. It really could come from either one. But anyway, his mother's scarf is on the table as well. And this really rocks Henry, and makes him sort of break their code of silence in the caves. And he startles and wakes up one of the monsters. Victor shoves Jasper in his bag and is trying to hurry up and get his dad out of here. And then here come one of these monsters. Victor, if you keep coming down here, one day we're going to make you stay. I would have shat myself. I am very much, I'm a fight or flight girly. I will fight and sometimes flight, but I will also freeze. And I think it's called fawn or something like that. I will freeze. And I think I would have been dead that day. I really, bitch, what you talking about? You been seeing me each time? What do you mean? That shit was scary. And so they do make it out. They make it to this abandoned 18-wheeler that he stays in. He used to stay in this one a lot when he was just by himself, but he uses it to escape sometimes the screaming at night from the monsters and stuff. And so his dad is just like, Jesus Christ, like, you were really staying in this abandoned truck for like how long? For decades? Like, what's going on? And so Jasper is the focus for Victor in this moment. He wants to get Jasper to talk so that he can remember things. I don't think Jasper is going to talk. I don't. Because he was possessed. And so if he doesn't want Victor to know how to get out, then he's not going to tell him anything. And so I'm really excited for episode 7 to see if, in fact, Jasper talks. So y'all stay tuned with me and join me on my YouTube channel this Saturday at midnight so we can talk about it. See you then.